Are you looking for the best CPU coolers? In this video we will look at some of the 6 best CPU coolers on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. Corsair EcoH170 Elite Cap LXXT. This cooler's excruciatingly long name does hint at its massive size, at least. This is a triple 140mm fan cooler, and as such requires plenty of room inside a chassis to mount it. You'll need a gap for a 420mm radiator to sit somewhere, and only some larger or cleverly designed cases can manage it. But in return it can run those 3 fans relatively slowly, and that means quieter operation, yet with excellent thermal performance. This is actually the liquid cooler we have hooked up to our test rig right now, and we've found it to be excellent for keeping Intel and AMD's latest CPUs in check. That includes today's best CPUs, such as the Ryzen 9 7950X and Core i9-13900K, which all ran without any issue whatsoever with this cooler attached. There are smaller sizes available with the same fans and cooler setup as this 420mm beast. The most popular of the lot is perhaps the 240mm version, which should fit most modern PC cases. If you're looking for over-the-top cooling, however, it's this 420mm liquid cooler that we feel is best for the job. Number 2. Deepcool GAMAR XL 240V2. Deepcool is well known for its capable AIOs at affordable prices, and the GAMAR XL 240V2 is one of the cheaper 240mm coolers on the market. That makes it a great option for users looking to step up from air cooling into the world of AIO cooling. The GAMAR XL 240mm features basic RGB lighting on the pump head and fans. There's a more expensive ARGB version, should you really want it. Deepcool likes to talk about its anti-leak technology, which seeks to maintain an optimal pressure balance inside the loop, which certainly can't hurt. The GAMAR XL 240 can also cool most processors, though, like many of the chip chillers on this list, it draws the line at AMD's Threadripper beasts. But it keeps the rest running with remarkably low noise levels, which is one of the main reasons we recommend it. At idle, the L240 is effectively silent. As you'd expect, you will start to see an increase in temperatures and noise levels with high TDP processors, especially when overclocking. Our 5800X CPU with PBO enabled is about the maximum we'd consider appropriate for a 240mm cooler. Under load, the fans can and do ramp up quite a bit. If you're after a 240mm AIO that's inexpensive and quiet under less demanding loads, then the Deepcool GAMAR XL 240 is a great choice. Sure, its noise levels can get high if you push it hard, but at this price, it comes highly recommended. Number 3. Deepcool AS500 Plus. The Deepcool AS500 received worthy attention when it was released, but the AS500 Plus, with its additional fan, elevates it to the point where it can compete with any single tower cooler on the market. At the same time, it undercuts competitors in price. There aren't many dual-fan ARGB supporting coolers at this price. Even if you spend double the money on a premium single-tower cooler, your cooling performance won't be much better. Its cooling ability belies its compact dimensions. Only more expensive dual-tower coolers beat it, and even then, not by a whole lot. Its dual-fan design no doubt helps. It's also surprisingly quiet. Even when pushed hard, the cooler doesn't get excessively loud. Cooling and low noise levels are welcome, then add to that great build quality and subtle ARGB good looks, and there's nothing to complain about. It even comes with its own ARGB controller, and there's a white version, too, if you like. The Deepcool AS500 Plus punches above its weight and price. It cools very well, it stays quiet, has great build quality, a subtle ARGB splash with its own controller, and on top of all that, and finally, it is a great value relative to many dual-fan single-tower coolers. Short of stressing it with a heavily overclocked high-end processor, the AS500 Plus ticks all the boxes. Highly recommended. Number 4. BeQuiet Purerock 2. If the brand name didn't already give it away, the BeQuiet Purerock 2 really is quiet. It's a single-tower cooler with the company's highly regarded Purerock 2 PWM fan, with a low 26.8 decibels A noise rating. That means it's very quiet indeed. It feels excellent, too, an indicator of good build quality, and it comes at a low price. We wouldn't describe the Purerock 2 as the most beautiful cooler on the market. But if you have a windowed case, you could consider the black version, which is undoubtedly more attractive than the plain aluminium finish of the base version. The Purerock 2 is primarily designed to cool unseen and unheard. It's rated to cool CPUs with a 150 watts TDP. Though perhaps this is a touch optimistic, that's down to the CPU manufacturers and their real TDPs. The Purerock 2 will keep your chip cool and quiet for anything other than high-end CPUs. If you're interested in bling and want something that's a step up from bundled coolers, the Purerock 2 is a fantastic choice. It will cool out of sight, mind, and earshot. Number 5. Noctua NHD15 GAMAR Black. The Noctua NHD15 GAMAR Black is considered by many to be the best air cooler on the market. We love it too, and it's an easy inclusion on our list of recommended coolers. It performs brilliantly, has excellent fans that are a welcome black color instead of that rather unsightly beige and maroon. Sorry, Jacob. Its build quality is fantastic, and Noctua's packaging, accessories, and documentation are second to none. Really, only 360mm AIO coolers outperform it. If you want an air cooler that can handle any consumer CPU on the market, you might find one to match the Noctua flagship, but you won't find anything that truly beats it. Under normal operation, the NHD15 can be considered truly silent. When pushed hard, it becomes louder than you might expect, such as you might get when hammering out an AVX load. But we don't mind having some optional cooling headroom when you need it. Even a 5 GHz plus Core i9-12900K will run quietly while gaming. The NHD15 also comes with two 140mm fans, which run slower than their 120mm counterparts, for quieter operation, but move plenty of air. If two of these are too loud for you, you can always remove one if needed. However, if you want to remove both for a truly silent CPU cooler, you'd best look at the Noctua NHP1 below instead. That's actually designed to run without fans. But why isn't the NH15 number 1 on our list? It's probably overkill for many PC builds, especially if you're running your chips stock. It's absolutely overkill as a straight swap for the stock cooler that comes with many Intel and AMD chips. Perhaps the sheer size of it, too, though that can easily be forgiven considering its excellent performance. Notably, Noctua has a long tradition of adding support for new sockets, and an investment in an NHD15 GAMAR Black means you'll have a top-shelf cooler that will last you for many years. That said, make sure to check it's compatible with your socket of choice before buying one. Number 6. Noctua NHP1. You might see nothing more than a hulking CPU cooler at a glance, but the Noctua NHP1 is far more exciting than that. As a passive design, it requires no fan to keep your CPU at a stable temperature. Yes, even while gaming. And if you hadn't already guessed, that's a pretty big deal for silent PC builds. The NHP1 is capable of cooling even high-end CPUs using only natural convection. That's sort of what makes it a big deal in the cooling world. It does this through a design vastly disparate from your standard chip chiller. Essentially, this passive cooler can keep a decent gaming processor powered up. We've tested the NHP1 on our Core i7-10700K open test bench, which has no fans and therefore completely unoptimized airflow. And while it may throttle on seriously CPU-intensive benchmarks, it flew on our standard gaming tests. Compare the NHP1 to the NHD15 Noctua's high-end CPU cooler, and you'll notice a few differences between the two. The most immediate is the density and thickness of the fins that make up most of the cooler's large size. These fins act as the fundamental heat dissipation method for an air cooler, and strangely the NHP1 comes with fewer than the tightly packed NHD15. The NHP1 also features a grid of cutouts horizontally through the more relaxed design, which again should help airflow naturally flow across the cooler and, importantly, sap away the heat transferred into the fins from the heat pipes. The heat pipes are undoubtedly of major importance here. Sit the NHP1 side by side with the NHD15, and you'll notice they're oriented differently. The heat pipes are the longest along their horizontal axis, which will undoubtedly impact heat dispersion due to the reliance on gravity for a heat pipe to function. The NHP1 is a niche product with particular use cases, with some drawbacks.